Now, as you know, yesterday we heard the bell officially ringing. Now, right now we are in the thick of it. We are already in that election season, and now we were in a period where persons were anticipating, wondering, feeling, and knowing that an election is upon us. But yesterday it was official. Well, it's now official. And this morning I have the privilege of sitting in studio with a man that has confirmed that he would be running in this upcoming general election and that his party is already able and available to win this general election. Good morning, Mr. Duke. This morning I'm chatting with the leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, leader Watson Duke, the Honorable Prime Minister in waiting, as you said during the before we came on. This morning, as I said before, we were anticipating. Persons were speculating. We just knew that the bell was going to ring, but no one knew the exact date. Were you similar to your colleague, Afali Augustine, who kind of anticipated that it would have been in April?
Well, I will want to dislodge myself from that question since it put me in the same boat with Mr. Fali Augustine. All right? But I can say that in my sojournings on the platform out there, canvassing, etc., I would have mentioned to several persons that we expect elections to be in April. And the reason for that was based on the fact that Dr. Rowley spent 45 years in public service. He's asking for an early retirement and to bestow the powers of Prime Minister upon Mr. Stuart Young. A rational thinker would understand that if he wants to resign from the position of Prime Minister, it is not to take a book bag and sit down on a backbench and play voter. He's more than a voter. And so he would simply want to not be in the parliament. Therefore, once he resigns, he would naturally want to remove himself from those parliamentary commitments as far as possible. So therefore, it would have been better for the election to be called. That's one of the reasons. The other reasons, so it was more or less a calculation, or what is it, a calculation that I would have had. For the reasons why the others would have given theirs, I can't say. People love to say, I know, I figured it out before, to look smart. But really, are they that smart?
Right. Persons are speculating that you would be running for the Tobago East seat because you are from Roxborough. You're currently Assemblyman for Roxborough Argyle. Can you give any information as it pertains to that, or are you waiting for the official release of candidates to make such announcements?
Well, there's no speculation, there's no shade of grey on that area. The people within the PDP party and the villagers of Roxborough, etc., they have requested that I run for Tobago East, and I have consented. So I am going to run, so help me God, for the Tobago East seat. Our candidate for Tobago West will be presented on Monday, yes, Monday, 10 a.m. at my office. We're going to present that candidate for Tobago West on Monday. We were waiting elections to be announced, so we then announce our candidate for the West.
Right. And as it pertains to the type of characteristics that are needed for the persons that would be representing Tobago at the parliamentary level, what do you think are those characteristics that are needed to have that accurate representation?
They must be a man of the people, by the people, and for the people. Those are our characteristics. Of the people mean they must live among Tobagonians, understand our culture, on the way we socially engage each other. Because, we have a different way of engaging each other, and we understand when we say certain things. And the person I'm choosing, that person is a fighter, a public fighter. That person is a no-nonsense person. And I would say that we be going to Trinidad as the finest fighters Tobago could have possibly engaged since the time of Robinson Murray era. We are on different stratas, so it means that we become all inclusive. What I miss, he will capture. What he miss, I will capture. So it's really a nice duo, a nice tag team, and we expect a clean sweep, so to speak. Not being cocky about it, but we expect that to resonate with the Tobagoness inside all of us as Tobagonians.
The only candidate that has been announced for the West so far has been Shamfa Kajul Lewis from the PNM.
Yeah.
And persons are saying that it's difficult to bring someone in now and try to run a campaign to appeal to the people, as opposed to a candidate that is already known, that already has a feet on the ground within the district or within the areas. Do you think that it was strategic on the PNM's part to not give its opponents the amount of time needed to make any inroads as it pertains to campaigning for this election?
It's very strategic, of course. Very, very strategic.
And for you, are you seeing her as being one of those opponents that you would have to work hard to defeat?
No, I have respect for both Shamfa and Ayana. They are good candidates. But like all things, their seasons have passed. And we are beyond that now. We are looking for fighters to go to Trinidad, not persons who will just contribute a vote to anything. Tobago must stand out, and Tobago must be represented as an island with its own history and its own vision of its own future.
What would be the main agenda of your party moving forward for this election? What would the message be?
Well, our message has been unveiled since last year, August, at a kind of coming together gathering at my home, where we said that the theme for our campaign would be Tobago must win. Alawi, Hafu, win. We always put in the local dialect whenever we develop a team. So the team is Tobago must win. And underneath, we'll have Alawi, Hafu, win.
Totally understood. As it pertains to your communication with individuals on the ground and meeting with your constituents, what is the feedback like as it pertains to them being confident in the PDP's ability to bring home victory in this election?
I could play a voice note to confirm it, You want me to play it? It has been extremely, extremely overwhelming. I mean, people are so glad to hear that I'm actually engaged in fighting for a seat, Tobago East, or contesting a seat, I should say. People are glad to see us on the ground walking, shaking hands. People are so glad that I have not given up. And I want to say, but the graces of God, we have not given up, and we have not given up on the dream that is that Tobagonians could actually be the architects of their own destiny. We don't want anyone to draft up anything in Trinidad and say, look, that's good for you. Those days are over. Tobagonians now must sit down and become the architects of their own future and the captain of their own ship. We own business here.
Right. And before I would have said that the only candidate for the West that has been announced is Shamfa Kaju, but I stand to be corrected. Aretha Clark from the Patriotic Front.
Oh, yes.
Yes, she was announced a while ago, actually, last month.
Yeah.
The announcement was made. So she is also a part of that running. Now, in the news that we had earlier, News in 90 Seconds, we heard from Gary Griffith, and he said that they are the best third-party alternative. Do you think that the smaller parties stand a chance in this general election, especially seeing that the time is so short?
Well, they do stand a chance. I mean, to let their mandate or the manifesto be known. But winning the support of people is more than having a party. It's more than having money or having flair or pretty glib speeches. It's about people believing in you, right? And the people always know what they are looking for in candidates. Tobago knows what they are looking for in their candidate. Trinidad Lavantil knows what they are looking for in their candidates. You have to understand, geographically, people needs will be different. And the party knows what candidate it wants to present. For me, I want to present fighters going to Trinidad, persons who are public defenders, who will fight come what may. Because the task ahead of Tobago involves a lot of speeches that will not be the best speeches. To be speeches that could be antagonizing at times, speeches that could be blunt at times, but speeches that represents the demands of Tobagonians. And we are not going to let up the demands of Tobagonians, which is our right for self-determination, which is the right for Tobagonians to decide among themselves without any external influence from Trinidad or regionally or internationally their political status. Whether we want to be independent of Trinidad, have an autonomous relationship with Trinidad, or have an association with Trinidad, share the dollar, the border, and then be independent. We must decide that, and we must also freely be able to pursue our economic, social, and cultural development. Tobago must decide that. We
Understood.
are of age.
Now, persons would say that during the last general election, you threw it away by going on stage and making statements that totally threw the election victory away for your party. How do you learn from that experience moving forward and make the necessary adjustments to ensure that those type of sensitive things don't happen right before an election?
Let me say this to you. That is a hoax and a joke. Nothing I said would have threw away elections. People want to pin things on people, and in the name of Jesus, I rebuke that. I just want to rebuke that in the name of Jesus and send it back to the sender wheresoever it come from. All right? The election was lost simply because I was not popular enough with the voters. Good? Remember, I operated from Trinidad, I will come across and campaign, etc. And some of my colleagues who should have been working the fields and getting the names did not work the field, did not get the names. That person who only came out to speak and speak for long hours, but they will not walk the field and get the names and do the groundwork. Elections is about more than speeches. It's about a lot of groundwork, sleepless nights, pursuing and persuading people why to vote for your team. That was not done. But now we are doing the work, and we expect the victory to be a renowned victory.
Right. And we see a Facebook commenter here saying, Mr. Duke, we already know the inside information is that Mr. Douglas is running in the West with you. So all this hullabaloo and secret is not called for. Can you confirm or deny this?
Facebook commenters can say whatever they want to say. I will not confirm, nor will I deny. But I said what I said, which is Monday, we are going to officially release that person and the name to the public.
What would be the main social issues that your administration would go to Trinidad to fight for?
Self-determination is high on the agenda. That is a priority, and there can be no partnering with any team in Trinidad unless that self-determination is written into the law books of Trinidad and Tobago within the first 6 months. It's a must. It's a must.
Right.
It's a deal breaker. We must have the right to determine our political status and to freely pursue our economic, social, and cultural development. Tobagonians need to decide for themselves. Don't come and tell us. Allow us to discuss.
Right. And when you were given that portfolio as Deputy Chief Secretary, one of the mandates that you had was to set up the Tobago People's House in Trinidad and push that mandate for Tobago self-determination. But not much was done. Can you explain to Tobago and the wider viewing public what really happened there that caused you not to be able to fulfill that mandate when you had the opportunity to, the resources to, the division to, and now you're saying this would be my mandate if we win this election?
Well, you're painting that picture rather beautifully, but in reality, it's not that beautiful a picture to paint. What would have happened? I was appointed as the deputy chief secretary, but I was not given any portfolio. That's the reality. They will say, you're responsible for this, that, and the next. But there was no portfolio I was given. Right? No portfolio at all. In other words, they gave you no money to do anything. My salary was being paid from the chief secretary department. So I had no budget. I had no administrator. The administrator I had working with belonged to sport. He was just doing me a favor. Good? So come on. Let's be real about this. It's a hoax. Everything was make-believe. This is why the chief secretary could have said after 9 months, I'm going to review your portfolio. And I'm going to remove it or remove some. That's what he's talking about. So for him, it was an easy thing. And you see what happened as soon as I left? He took all the position away from the deputy chief secretary and he said, I will handle that. These are make-believe stuff. People create things to give an impression because knowing that the public, once they hear that, will believe it and not look for the evidence of such. So when you look for the evidence, there was no position for a deputy chief secretary. There is a deputy chief secretary now. Is that person looking after anything that belongs to the deputy chief secretary? No. The chief secretary claimed to take those positions onto himself. Is he pursuing any of those things? No. There is no such thing at all. It's all a fake, all another lie told by the king of lies.
Understood. Well, we're going to take a quick break right here and we'll come back with much more on this discussion right after this. So see you soon, guys. Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Guys, we have been chatting with the leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, Watson Duke, who has announced that he would be running in the upcoming general election that has been announced for April 28th. Now, he already said that he would be running for that Tobago East seat. Now, you were a part of, well, at that time you were all one party under the PDP banner during all the past elections. This time around, you are no longer attached to Chief Secretary Fali Augustine and the team. Do you think that the PDP is capable of winning an election without them? And do you think that they are capable of winning an election without you?
But I will not speak about their capabilities. The public will determine that. But our capabilities are as good as any and better than many. And I am beyond confident. I know. I'm not being cocky or boastful, but I know for a fact that the PDP would win the Tobago East and the Tobago West seat because I am Tobago. I am a Tobagonian. I know what they're looking for. Remember, we set the program. We write it. We code it. A revolution has taken place in the minds of Tobagonians. You can't trick them with money and food or a job. No, 10 on 10 off can't work. Fixing a road here and there, that can't work. Right? They will fetch you, will take your money, and they will vote you out. The issues that are engaging Tobago minds are self-determination, the right for better quality of life. And so our campaign will be around those themes, improving the quality of life for Tobagonians and self-determination. I have a proven track record as a person who delivers. A man who has represented in Trinidad and have done so excellently, par excellence. I don't know of any other candidate that have represented in Trinidad with victories. Like I said, my colleagues, Ayan and Shamfa, they're great individuals, good people. But when coming to representing Tobago, they do not represent Tobago the way Tobago wants to be represented. We are more than 2 votes. We must become the fulcrum of power. We must become the axis on which things turns. This is the reason why I have an and is a conjunction, right? And so we are the and also Tobago. Trinidad is Trinidad, but we are the and Tobago. So they cannot leave us out, and we must become the main course meal, not no side dish. We must determine how the country is governed, because if Tobago is happy, all of Trinidad and Tobago is happy. And let me just add this, in case you didn't ask a question. For years, they have fooled us and told us that Tobagonians don't have anything. And for years, we have guessed that we are rich in oil and rich in gas. But let me set the record straight. If the United Nations were to come using the Convention on the Laws of Seas, and they were to create that block for Tobago, our marine area and our airspace, etc., Tobago would have in it 6 oil fields that have been discovered, well, 6 gas fields, sorry, let me correct that, 6 gas fields that have been discovered in 1975. Yes, during Eric Williams' time, they have discovered 6 gas fields. 1975 was the year. 3 of those gas fields are now in full utilization, being sent directly to Point Lisa, Trinidad. Yeah, those gas fields are very close to the Dragon Field. So it means that the 3 gas fields are Hibiscus, Shaconia, and the Poinsettia. Those are located towards the southwestern end of Tobago, which is towards Crown Point side. Then we have also in 1975, 3 other gas fields that have been discovered. One is Jasmine, the other is Orchid, and the other is Iris, since 1975. So even before we became a Tobago House of Assembly in 1980, they knew we had gas, right? Let me go further. Recently, they discovered gas in Block 22, right? They call it the Colabri project. And they also discover gas right off the coast of Speyside, the higher end of Tobago, leading towards that side there. It is called the Calypso Field. Now, the Calypso Field is as big as the Dragon Field, but they are not telling us that the Calypso Field is as big as the Dragon Field. The Dragon Field has in it 4.3 trillion cubic feet of gas, natural gas. That's the Dragon Field that they want to have. That is right outside the borders. It's on Venezuela side, but a stone throw away, so to speak. In the Calypso Field, we have 3.7 trillion feet of gas. Now do the maths. Dragon Field, 4.3 trillion cubic feet of gas. That's in Venezuela waters. We can't get that. However, in our Tobago waters, the largest gas find in the history of discovery is 3.7 trillion cubic feet of gas. Altogether, those gas fields are over 300 billion TT dollars, but they will never tell us that. They will tell us take a 10%, take a 4.3%. And they're milking our resources. This is why the right for Tobagonians to have their self-determination is so critical, is so crucial. We must decide. And that is an international law. It's not a gift. It is something that the Constitutional Amendment 2021 would have spoken to in Section 4 of the preamble, when it says that it is recognized that the people of Tobago shall have the right to pursue self-determination, etc., etc. But it only stays there in the preamble and not the body or the enforceable part of the Constitution. The PDP would correct that. We are the only people who are talking Tobago must have all of their rights, and Tobago must decide whether we want to remain in a relationship with Trinidad or not. That is for us to decide, not for Trinidad.
And as it pertains to this election and the history of the PDP, Is there anything that you have learned from your relationship with Chief Secretary Fali Augustine and the team that has changed the way how you are going to operate in politics moving forward?
Well, I recognize that you cannot trust anyone with power, right? Unless you have the power that supersedes that power. Once you put someone in power, they will do whatever they want and you have no control over that. It's like giving a child a car and say, go ahead and drive. And you go in the back seat. You have no control over that steering wheel. So you could say whatever you want, shout however you want. That person will always lead from the way they see it. Right? And that's what the trouble we end up with Fali Augustine. He sees Tobago one way, I see Tobago a different way, but I took a back seat and was trying to assist him. And he wasn't up for that. He wants to be the driver, so I've allowed him to drive without any cankatang. And before he tries to embarrass me publicly, he said, "You're going to remove a portfolio." I wanted no further embarrassment. Clearly, the team was saying that they're better without Watson Duke. And I gracefully bowed out without they pushing me out. They showed me the door. I gracefully stepped out. We have seen what they're capable of and what they are not capable of. And it is up for Tobago to judge them and to ask themselves whether or not they are capable of representing us in Trinidad. You know they say, dance a yard before you dance abroad, right? Don't go in the open and try to dance if you never learn to dance at home. You will embarrass yourself and embarrass your family. Which of those persons can have the quality conversation at the academic level, at the parliamentary level, to say defend Tobago? Which of them?
And there are the persons who believe that yourself and Chief Secretary Fali Augustine was the perfect mix, the perfect team, the perfect blend of advocacy and strength and composure on one end. And there are the persons who also believe that now that that split has happened, moving forward to an election, you are just handing it over to the PNM by now splitting that vote.
There is no split vote here. I don't like that question. Sometimes people ask me that question, I cringe. Because there is no split vote here. Fali has no votes whatsoever. People voted for the party, and the party was led by a leader who represented the party. That's how party operates. When Dr. Christopher Rowley led the PNM, he represented the PNM. He embodied the PNM. When Martin Luther led the civil rights movement, he embodied that struggle. He was the struggle. When Mandela led the struggle in South Africa against apartheid, Nelson Mandela, he embodied that struggle. And so when Duke led the PDP, I embodied that struggle. They were simply my co-workers, my colleagues. Nothing is wrong with that. A team is more than one man. But there's no splitting of votes there. The plans, the projections were all derived from the political leader. My view has never changed. I've always been consistent with that one view. Fali's view, Fali's ideas can now be seen. He's there for almost 4 years. What has he done? He hasn't even made a flashlight. What has Tobago benefited? $10 billion, billion dollars have been spent, and we have nothing of significance. I've been to my area, which is Lulo, recently, and there was a Trinidad contractor putting up lights. Do we have no electricians here? Come on, every little thing being done in Tobago is a Trinidadian doing it, and the money is being taken from Tobago and sent to Trinidad. So I have to give names up there, and the names I'm giving up there is to do scab labor. You understand what I'm saying? Heistwood, dig hole. That would have in us, 10 on, 10 off. He has reduced Tobago to a laughing stock. How can we work together when his views and my views are diametrically opposed? No one can say that we can be a good team. I thought for that, I long for that, I hope for that. But like I said, when you give a man a power, he shows you what he's seeing and how he's going to pursue things. Everybody can judge Mr. Augustine for who he is. He has not lived a secret life. He's a public figure. And all the good he has done, finance secretary for much years, what have that brought for us? Where is the Tobago Development Bank? Where is the calling of Tobagonians, expatriates, and Tobagonian diaspora brought to come back home and build a community? Where are the housing in every district? Where is the $10 million given to every district so they could have some level of development taking place? Where are those things? Where are those things? Yeah?
Understood. And even as we round up the discussion this morning, you attended the practical opening ceremony
Yeah.
for the ANR Robinson International Airport on Saturday. What were your impressions of the event? And there has been a lot of conversations in the space about the Chief Secretary not being able to give his remarks at that event. What are your perspectives?
I believe in giving Jim boots, right? And in this case, the airport that I walked to physically is beautiful. It's very pleasing. I have not seen an airport in the Caribbean that is so inviting, so beautiful. That's a physical structure of it. And whatever little demonstration they had, it looks good. Yeah? When that is populated and rightly furnished, it's going to be the talk of the town. However, my concerns always remain of the $1 billion that's spent, how many of that money is in Tobagonians' businessman account? My question remains, those people with the Beneball, the 10 of them, they want to move from the airport and just select 2 to go on the new airport, how can you not fit them into a small area? The area they now occupy is a small area. Why not give them a small area and allow persons to go in and choose? Because each of them are making their products themselves. I learned that. I thought they were just buying wholesale and sell differently, but each of them are making them products themselves. And I've tried it. I've sampled products and I recognize each tastes differently. Allow a man to choose. You're going to have several persons selling food inside there, and every man cooking his own food. Why not allow these persons to sell? What harm have they done? It's 10 people in a small airport. Now you want to put them in a big airport with just 2 people? No, I'm against that. I'm also against the fact that these duty-free areas may go to Trinidadians only. I am suggesting that it goes to Trinidadians, yes, but 50%, a minimum of 50% of those duty-free areas must remain for Tobago businesses. And those businesses must be supported by the business development unit with the financial backings to get themselves going. We want to breed entrepreneurs who are at the commanding heights of Tobago's economy.
Totally agreed. Now, do you think that you can or should join with the THA to advocate for those persons that you indicated to the concessionaires that already exist in the airport to just be transferred over to the new airport? Because I had a conversation with the airport authority in regards to marketing at the airport, and what they said was that they already have a marketing concessionaire, and that person is just going to be moved into the new terminal as an extension of the existing contract. So there's no new tenders going out for someone to do marketing for the airport. However, as it pertains to the concessionaires and those persons who sell local treats and craft, they are now having to apply or sending an RFP in order to be given a space in that new airport. Do you think that it's important for this THA to be advocating for that same, metric to be used as it pertains to those small Tobago businesses?
Well, no, that's red tape. People give you red tape when they want to delay you, frustrate you, and they want to engage in culling, which is to remove the productive from the unproductive. As the candidate for Tobago East and my colleague for the West, when Tobagonians vote for us, they are voting to cut all those red tape nonsense out. I, Watson Duke, will ensure that 50% of those duty-free areas go to Tobago, and they will be given all the financial support they want from the business development unit. I will ensure that all of those persons selling the Benebor, sugar cake, Kumar, etc., all of those persons will be transferred without any red tape whatsoever, unless there is some negative report that the airport would have gotten about some of them. But once everything is in good standing, they'll be transferred. They don't need to apply. There are some things that must
They are
just
being
happen.
given first preference, but they still have to submit the RFP and all the required
I'm saying to you, they don't need to
documents.
submit no RFP, no first preference. They be given the only preference there. Nobody else could sell Benebole but them, because we don't want to stand about 10 persons here. Let them continue selling. There are other things for persons to do, and 50% of the what we call it, the duty-free areas will be given to Tobagonians and their businesses. We will ensure that we give them the financial backings. We have to develop Tobago. And this is why these elections, people are not studying about the nonsense in money and pay for voting. They're studying for the best leaders. And right now, myself and my colleague, we are representing to a very improved level what A&R Robinson and Winston Murray would have done. We have come to done it. Let me end by saying this, if you're going to wrap up. APT James was the one who gave voice to our right to autonomy. He spoke about autonomy. He spoke of it, Tobago's rights. A&R Robinson, in his entire incarnation, would have been responsible for having that documented on a legislative piece of paper called laws, THA laws. Now Watson Duke must come and operationalize it. This happened between APT James and the coming of Robinson. It took place in 1946 and 1976, that's 30 years. Between the last document being written, right when Robinson came into existence in 1995 when he won, and between 2025 and the next 30 years, the cycle has come wrong again. Now it's time for us to go to Trinidad and operationalize what Tobago should mean to Trinidad. We shouldn't have to guess it. Nobody can come to Tobago and dumb us down or tell us stand aside. We have to fix Tobago and make sure Tobago work for all Tobagonians.
Thank you. Well, again, we want to thank you so much for
Thank you so
coming
much.
in this morning and having this discussion. And we want to wish you all the best in your candidacy for Tobago East and that official announcement of your candidate for Tobago West that's going to be happening on Monday.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break right here. We'll be back with much more conversation right after this. See you soon.